MLP series review, season 7, episode 3, A Flurry of Emotions. Wow. See, this is why Ponies is so weird, because holy moly, was this a good episode. Special rainbow heart. It made me cry. It made me laugh. Just a perfect episode. So what happens is, there are sick, there's a sick class of ponies, and Twilight agrees to go and, like, cheer them up, basically. And as she's going to go do that, Shining Armor and Cadence show up, and they ask Twilight to watch Flurry. And Twilight kind of just, she doesn't forget about everything else, but she's like, oh yeah, I'll definitely watch her or whatever. So she watches her, but she has to go and do all of the things that she has to do still. And, like, it's really good already because it shows how much Twilight loves Flurry, because Twilight is a stickler for sticking to her schedules and to sticking to the plan. And she literally is like, it's okay, I'll watch, I'll do this, and it's okay if we fall behind or whatever, which is already, like, great to show that Twilight loves Flurry that much. Um so what happens is, Cadence and Shining Armor go to, like, an art show for one of Shining Armor's friends in the guard, and I'll get their side story done real quick. They're just there, and they're looking at the things, and then they finally realize after a while of being there that everything reminds them of Flurry, and they, like, want to go and get her, like, as soon as possible, because, like, they realize, yeah, it's nice to have a break, but they love her so much that they don't want to be away from her very much. So anyways, back to Twilight. She goes to Cheerilee, and she um wants a book to read to the kids at the hospital or whatever. So as they're whatchamacallit, Flurry notices the chalkboard, and she goes and she erases it, and she draws a cute picture, and, like, she gets in trouble basically because, like, she erased some of the stuff that Shirley had for her next class or whatever. So then they go to the next place, which is, well, they first go to the supermarket to get toys for the kids, and, like, Twilight is doing, like, the race car thing with the cart, and then, like, when she stops, Flurry wants to do it still, so she does it with her magic, but she crashes into a display, and Twilight has to use some of her time to fix it or whatever. And she again, she doesn't get in trouble. Like, Twilight doesn't yell at her or anything, but she, like, is inconvenienced, and it's like, uh it's progressively making her more late and more late for the thing that she has to do. So the final thing they go to is they go to Sugar Cube, and Pinky's helping her with, uh she's Twilight, again, attention to detail. It's so great. Twilight is not only getting the food for the sick ponies, but she's also trying to buy, like, apology stuff for the people that she messed up for, like, with Flurry already. And again, great attention to detail. Twilight is it's just such a good episode. So what happens is, this is where it's super funny, because, like, Flurry is playing with the cakes as kids, and, like, Spike is supposed to be watching them, but he's paying attention more to his list or whatever. So the cakes start fighting over a toy, and, like, Flurry's like, it's so funny the way they animate it, because, like, Flurry is like, she's, like, trying to get Spike's attention, and he's not paying attention, so she picks up a block and chucks it at his head, and then, like, she does with her hooves, she's like, look at this, like, they're fighting with each other, why don't you do something? So Spike is like, I'll find another of the same toy, so he goes and looks at the toy box for another of the same toy, but they're still fighting. So Flurry, again, she's freaking great. She's trying to get Twilight's attention because she's like, they're fighting over this toy. Like, stop them from fighting. And she doesn't pay attention. So Flurry breaks the toy into two, and she gives one to each half. Like, she gives them each one. And it's like, she's just trying to help. Like, no, now you guys don't have to fight, because now you both have the toy, technically. And they get mad, and they start throwing cupcakes at her, and she's, like, trying to run away, and they make a mess out of Sugar Cube Corner, and, like, Twilight apologizes to Pinky, and she's like, I'll buy you, like, your favorite thing here from here too, or whatever. So they finally make it to the hospital, and they're not very late. They're only 4.5 minutes late, which is not a big deal at all. 4.5 minutes. So Twilight's reading to the kids or whatever, and Flurry is still like she's like bored, like she doesn't really understand it or whatever, and she wants to play. So like Twilight is like you have to wait or whatever, and like um Flurry Flurry like throws a tantrum and she kicks her. She has a special toy. You know how every kid has a special something, a blanket, a toy, whatever. So she kicks her special toy and it gets carried out of the room or whatever. And she starts freaking out really, really bad. Flurry does, and she's looking for it. Like she's teleporting all over the hospital, and she's lifting all the beds and looking everywhere, like because she's really, really strong, and she can't find it. So she starts lifting the beds of the in the room or whatever, and she's like lifting Twilight. She's lifting everything, and she's looking everywhere. And Spike is like, Twilight, like you need to pay attention because she's still reading the book. And Twilight looks, and she's like, Flurry, like put us down, like she's still being calm with her or whatever. And what ends up happening is so there's this really good part earlier in the episode where Twilight is playing with Flurry and they're pretending to be bears because Twilight bought her bears, and Flurry wanted to play pretend like as if she were a bear or whatever. So what happens is like when they're playing, Twilight jumps out of nowhere and roars at her like, "Oh, I'm a bear," and it scares Flurry. Like she gets super super scared, and she puts up a barrier and she wraps herself in her wings. And Twilight's like, "This is a really good episode." Twilight's like, "No, no, like I'm sorry, like it's me, it's just your aunt." And like Flurry immediately, yeah, I'm gonna cry because it's a really good episode. Flurry immediately like, "Oh, it's just my aunt," and she takes down the barrier and she's happy or whatever. So what happens is in this part when she's lifting all the beds and stuff, Twilight like yells at her. She's like Flurry, put us all down now, and like Flurry gets like shocked, and then Twilight yelling at her some more. She's like you did a bad thing and blah blah blah, and Flurry cries and she gets scared, and like Twilight like is like, oh crap, because she like messed up, and she's like I'm sorry. She's like, it's just me. It's just and she does the same thing as at the beginning of the episode, and Flurry doesn't take down the barrier. She's still scared of her, and she's like it's because you're scared of me. She's like, it's because I yelled at you, and it's so sad. It's so freaking sad, dude. It's so sad. And Twilight does a little speech, and she tells her about how much she loves her and stuff. And Flurry takes down the barrier, and they hug, and they end up. Twilight ends up. The message of the episode basically is that it's just spending time with someone isn't what matters. It's not the quantity of the time, it's the quality of the time. If you're just with someone and you don't really do anything, or you're not really paying attention to each other, or you're not doing something that you both want to do, that doesn't really mean anything. But if you're with somebody and it's a shorter amount of time and the quality of that time together is, it's just such a good episode. I'm blown away that this episode was so good. So anyways, Shining Armor and Cadence come back, and Cadence is like, are you free next Tuesday? And Twilight freaks out, and she's like, no, 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 like, are you free to like to have dinner? Like, well, we're not gonna just dump Flurry on you all the time or whatever. And yeah, it was just phenomenal, a excellent episode. This season has started out super good. You got a 4-star, a 4-star, and then a perfect episode. The writers of this episode are Sammy Crawley and Whitney Weta. I have no idea who that is. They have not written anything before this. Hopefully they got a bunch of episodes this season because this episode was really, really good. I am super impressed at how good this episode was. Makes me excited for the rest of the season. Hopefully my spirits aren't raised for nothing.